Okay, so one of the things that I get asked all the time is if I would create more male sort of inspired jewelry. Now, I don't know. Does jewelry have a gender? No, it doesn't. but sometimes we want things that have a bit more of a masculine feel to it. And I'm hoping that this one kind of does. So what we've got here is some 3mm leather, and I have, you may need a ruler for this one. So I have a ruler here. Let's see, what did I cut? I cut about just over 7 inches. You know, most men have about an 8-inch wrist, but you never know. So I just started with 7, and we'll see what happens. I'm going to give you a little hint here. I've never made this. I'm making it actually on the fly for a video because I'm about to head to Tucson and I have no time. So let's hope that this sucker turns out. So, and I also have a meter of 1.5mm leather. I have a large hole bead. I have 2 3mm crimp ends. I have a closed ring. I have a lobster clasp, and I have some 4mm 18 gauge jump rings. And look at that, I do have scissors because, you know, I never have scissors. And for our other tools, we're just going to need a pair of pliers and a pair of bent chain nose pliers. So let's get this underway. All right, so I got rid of everything that I don't think I'll need during the project. I'll need that one in a little bit. So I'm kind of thinking that what I want to do is sort of center my the macrame that I'm going to be doing sort of in the middle of it. So, you know, as I said on another recent video, that I'm not very scientific and I really hate measuring because I find that when I measure, it stresses me out. So I think I'm going to be able to just kind of move this around a little bit. But, you know, just for the sake of argument, let's start about 2 inches in. So I'm just going to put the ruler off to the side. Now, you could create this bracelet putting the ends on and everything so you have something to hold on to, but I just think it would be really tough. So I'm going to do it in my hands. So what I've done is I've just married up the 2 ends of my 1.5mm leather so that I have the midpoint here. So now one of the things that you want to make sure is that you don't start with your 3mm leather this way. You want to have it in the natural flow, and this is going to be the natural flow. So that means like when it's on the wrist, it's going to go this way. If we started like this, then when you go to put it on, you're going to have to twist the leather and it's just not going to be nice. So what I want to do is place my leather behind, and now I'm going to start doing my macrame. So to do my macrame, I've done a million of them where I've got it actually on the boards so you can see a little bit easier. So if you can't see what I'm doing because I'm holding on to it, just flip over to one of my other macrame videos that might be easier. So I'm going to make a P. And then what I want to do is bring that tail on the left side over top of that tail. And then I'm going to go up through that hole. And this is how we're going to just sort of get it started. So now I'm just going to adjust that back a little bit because I do want a fair amount of leather showing. So we're going to be doing P's and Q's. Now you don't want to pull so tight that you snap your leather because that could happen. So you want to be mindful that you're not pulling too tight, but you're pulling taut enough that this is going to stay on here. So now with macrame, if you don't know what to do next, you always want to start on the side that has the little bump here. So I know now that I'm going to be starting on that side. So I just go, I do like a Q, and then I go over top, and then I pull that up through there. So like I said, I'm being brave. I haven't made this before, but I had an idea, and I thought, well, let's just put it together and see what happens. Okay, so that's our first one. So again, we're being mindful that this is staying in that natural flow. So I can do these pretty fast without really thinking when it comes to macrame because I've done it so much. And I wanted to use leather because I wanted that, you know, a bit more sort of a heavy, kind of a rugged look of sorts. Now, like I said, this will be available in kit form, but you can always make kits any way that you want. So we'll just kind of see how mine turns out here, and then you can adjust if you want longer sections of macrame cording on there. So let's just see what we end up with. So now I've got my bump there, so I know I've got to go over there. And I know that's probably like watching paint dry, so I may speed this part up, but if not, we'll just whip through it pretty quickly here. All right, so what I want to do is kind of measure where I'm at now. So if this is 7 inches, then I want to sort of end like 3.5 is where I want to start my, I want this bead to sort of sit at the 3.5. And then if yeah, that'll do me just about right. I may adjust this back a little bit. But see, the nice thing is because it's not glued down or anything, I think I can actually move it. It might take a little doing, but you know, I think what I'm going to do is just call it a day. And so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of my macrame square knots on there. So now I'm going to put my bead on, and then I'm going to create 4 more. So now, like I said, you could start a little bit further back and create more of the square knots. So we're just going to pretend that that large hole bead doesn't exist, and we're going to just macrame right around it. So don't be afraid to put things in the middle. There we go. Look at that. That looks kind of cool. I'm liking that. All right, so I'm going to create 4 because I did 4 on one side, so I'll do 4 on the other. And I forgot to bring some glue, but we're definitely going to need to glue the ends here. You know, when I'm leaving for Tucson, I have, you know, I'm not whining, but I have so many things to do. It's hard running a business and having to leave for 2 weeks to go on a buying trip. It's fun, but I have so many things on my mind. So, you know, remembering to bring glue, I guess, didn't get on the memo today. So you guys know I always forget something, but I will tell you where I would put it. All right, so I've got 1, 2, 3, and this is going to be my last one, I think, here. So look at that, that's in the center. Now, what would I do differently? That's pretty much even. I would maybe start a little bit further back and maybe do 6 on each side. I think that might look a little nicer, but I think that's kind of a cool look for the middle of a wrist. So now we want to make sure that we secure this on this leather here. So I'm going to just turn it over and tie a knot. I'm going to just tie 1 knot here. And you just don't want to see it really. And then I'm just kind of flattening it a little bit with my finger because I just want to make sure that that's nice and tight. So what I would do is I would take some glue and I would really, you know, kind of saturate this whole area. Like I would get the glue right in here. I just don't want to do it on camera. First of all, I'd have to go find my glue. But if I do it on camera, then I have to stop this and it would just take forever. So I'm going to put a fair amount, like right there. I'm going to run it all through here and on either side. And I think that that should hold it pretty good. The other thing that you could do is you could tie a little knot on the end of this, and it'll also add like a little decorative feature on here, but it's not, you know, a have to. But if you're worried about it, you could always tie like a little knot like that. Let me just run that on the other side, and then I'll trim it off and show you. I would probably do the little knot. You know, if this is for a fella, guys tend to be pretty brutal when it comes to wearing their jewelry. They're very tough on it because they don't take it off. So you want to make sure that whatever you make, you're making it really, really tight. So again, if you're going to make these little knots on the side, just to make sure that that doesn't go anywhere, I would trim that off. So I'm going to cut this really close like that. And I'm hoping it doesn't unravel while I'm on camera here. I would then put a bunch of glue on there. But honestly, you know, I don't know if you even need those. I think if you just glue the heck out of the back part there, I think you'll be fine because it is leather and it does stick. But I just wanted to kind of give you some options there as to what you could do. So now on the ends, we're going to add our 3mm cord ends. Now, if you find that you can't get that in there, you can always cut this on a little bit of an angle and kind of wiggle it in there. Because sometimes, like, not all leathers are created equal. Sometimes they're a little beefier than 3mm. So, and now what you want to do is get that in there so that you don't see it coming out the other end. And I want to make sure that it's going across this way. I don't want to have it, you know, sideways. So I'm just going to come in the middle and I'm going to give it a good crimp. And again, if you are worried about it coming off, you could put a little dab of glue on there. I never have, but you could put a little bit of glue. Now this is a pretty beefy 3mm cording. So let's see, what did I do with my scissors? You could cut just the corner off like that. And then it's going to slide in there a lot easier. And then you can kind of twist it. And there we go. You can just kind of see it poking out the end there. So I don't really want to see it too much. So I'll kind of pull back a little bit. There we go. So if you are struggling to get the ends on, you can do that. Now we do sell all of this, all of these parts separately. So if you're wanting to do something a little different, you could for sure. So now on one end, I am going to attach my large closed ring. I wanted to make this very simple to get off and on. Again, fellas don't tend to like a lot of, you know, bits and parts on their jewelry. So we're keeping it really simple and really basic. And so that's what they're going to do it up into. So we've got it going the right direction. We want to make sure that we're only using one jump ring there. If you need to extend it out, you're going to want to put 2 jump rings. Otherwise, your ring is going to sit sideways like that. And then on this end, we're going to take one of our jump rings, open that up, give that a little twist. And if you needed a little bit of extra room, I'm just going to see how this one lands on there. Of course, everything always falls off when you're live, right? So if I put it, if I just put 1 through, then this is going to sit the wrong direction. So I'm going to put 2 jump rings in there, and I think that will then be the right direction. It's one of the things you have to worry about, or not worry about, but you have to think about when you're creating is which way is it going to land if you put that on there. So now when I put this through, it'll go that way, which is what we want. So then when they do it up, it's just going to go like that. So you don't want this laying sideways like that. It's not, it looks nicer like that, but you can't really do it up very easily. So now this will probably fit an 8-inch wrist when we get this extra on there, because this whole bit here that I just added adds about almost 1.5 inches. So that's probably going to fit about to an 8 to an 8.25 inch wrist just by adding this on there. So when you're making yours, you would have to sort of take that into account. So there you go. There is just a really quick and simple bracelet that I think that guys would like to wear. It's just really, I don't know, it's just pretty classic and very easy to throw together. You know, I'm not really digging these little things on here, so I'm going to cut mine off. I'm going to use my nippers though, because I got to get in close here. I don't really like that. So I'm going to cut that off and be brave. And then what I'm going to do is come in and glue the heck out of that knot, and then it won't go anywhere because I'm going to glue it really well. There, I think that looks a little better. Like I said, I was doing this on the fly just to see what it would look like, and I think it turned out really nice. So if you enjoyed this style of video where I just kind of create something on the fly where I have no idea what I'm doing, let me know in the comments below. Make sure if you did like it that you give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate it if you would. I want to thank you so much for watching, and we will see you on the next one.